ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. Welcome to this segment of Code Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation today and the reflection is the 32nd sabad in Rag Sorat Mahalla Panjama, composition of the 5th Nanak, Guru Arjan. The recitation and the reflection. Sorat Mahalla Panjama, Jaake Simaran, Sab kuch paiya, Birthi kaal na jai, Tis prabh tyag avar kat rachon, Jo sab mein rehya samai. So, literally, what is being said, Jaake Simran sab kuch paiya, Birtha kaal na jai, Tis prabh tyag, to forsake that self, Jo sab mein rehya samai, who dwells alike in everyone, and by whose remembrance, Jaake Simran, everything is obtained. Sab kuch paiye. And no effort goes waste. Birtha kaal na jai. So forsaking this self that has just been described, and instead to engage and chase the illusion of Maya, that's the question. That is the question. So here the thing is, the advocacy of Simran, Jaake Simran. So what does it really mean to say remember or remembrance, Simran? If we understand remembrance in the ordinary sense, one would have to question the verse by saying, how can one possibly remember something, A, that one does not know, and B, engage in 24/7? One can't do that, at least not consciously, while engaged in worldly activity, like solving a math problem, or driving, or engaged in office work, whatever the case may be. So we have to redefine what Simran means in the context of remembrance. Because in English, remember usually means to recall something from the past. While this is true and applicable in Gurbani, Simran is not memory in that narrow sense. It is better understood as remembering the self. That is to say, realigning, putting oneself back together in alignment with the self. So therefore, it is not mental recollection, but existential realignment. And it arises from experience, from taste, intuition, not textbook knowledge. It requires practice and effort. It's not 24/7 chanting, although it may start as a conscious practice, but over time, Simran becomes a state of being. It is not a repeated act. It is establishing the background orientation of the mind. Hence the emphasis on Simran, even in the Rahat, the central thematic message, center of the Sabad, where the Guru says, Har har simaro sant gopala, Sad sang mil naam te avo, Puran hove kala. So here the Sant being addressed as seekers, those who are seeking enlightenment. The advice to them is Hara Hara Simro Sant Gopala. Sant is plural here. So if you're a seeker, then reflect, attune yourself to the Har, who is also Gopala, the master, the sustainer. Sadh Sangha Mil Naam Te Avo. Here's the emphasis is on enlightened fellowship. Puran Hove Kala. Then your effort will be complete. So there is emphasis again and again in Gurmat on congregation. And there is solid reasons for that. We know that we are wired for social resonance. We are social animals. So when we see and hear others in a state of devotion, our own brain begins to reflect that state automatically. It's the mind entraining itself into a collective vibration. You may start distracted, but you may have noticed this in Sangat. Eventually, that collective Simran pulls your attention. And emotions are very contagious. They travel through tone, posture, rhythm. And so when you're in a Sangat, this devotional energy multiplies. So while private meditation is necessary, it lacks that collective uplift. And when you recite or do kirtan with others, it creates a vibrational coherence. So these are, the Sangat is a morphic resonance. Morphic meaning it morphs you. It shapes you. So you find resonance with Nam, which is that morphic field. And we are, of course, human identity is relational. So when you're in Sangat, the ego is softened. So therefore, in Gurmat, Simran is more effective in congregation, hence the emphasis on congregation. So Sangat is a mirror, a magnet and a multiplier, an enabler, not just a crowd. In conclusion, the Guru says, Sar samalla nit pratapalla prem sahat galalave kaho nanak prab tumre bisrat jagat jivan kaise pave. Another question, albeit rhetorically, but not just that way. He first describes the state of our being, of the self, which is love. It is a field of love in which it holds us, holds all creatures, sar samalla, and nurtures all creatures, nit pratapalla, prema sahit galalava, meaning in its own embrace of love. So Nanak says, by forgetting you, Prabhatumre Bisrata, how can the creatures of the world be rejuvenated? How can you come alive? Jagata Jivan Kaise Pave. So, what is being offered is a vision of a tender, sustaining divine presence that tends to our essence. So it is this loving field of consciousness, this is Nam, to which we attune ourselves through Simran. So life without this resonance with Nam is merely animation without purpose. It's movement without meaning. So bring yourself to resonate with Nam through Guru wisdom. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.